Good morning, listeners. I hope everyone's doing good. Welcome to our 14th podcast. Well, today I'm not going to ask you any questions because today is Eid and I would like to wish all of you Eid Mubarak. Today, I would like to dedicate my podcast to my grandmother. And the reason is because yesterday, June 6th, was her death anniversary. She passed away on June 6, 2000, and left me alone here to survive. She was my dad's mother and my grandmother, but she was more of a mother to me as she raised me for 12 years. She belonged to a Marwari region of Rajasthan, and her language, also called Marwari, which comes under the umbrella of Rajasthani languages, which is part of the western zone of Rajasthan. They are known for their entrepreneurial spirit and business acumen and have migrated to various parts of the world. Hence, some of the business skills that I got being so frugal and very good at what I do, that is coming from her. She gave me so much love and she raised me with kindness and above all, with her wisdom. Her words of wisdoms were so close to me that I lived by it pretty much most of my life. Even though she gave me lots of words of wisdoms, today I can just discuss two. That would be to dedicate those kind words for her life worth of working to serve the humanity. She always talks about humility and brotherhood and sisterhood, and not just talking about it. While living with her, as we were a joint family, we had 5 of our uncles and aunts and of course my cousins living right across from each other. We were all within 3 buildings radius because these were like old apartments. And I remember how humble and kind she was. I remember she gave me an example. She said, every time, as a kid, we always end up arguing or fussing at school or other activities. And when I come back to her crying because she was like my mother, right? My mother was never there for me. So when I come back to her, she will always tell me, if someone slaps you on your face, on your right face, you give them the left face. And I would always wonder what she meant by that. Of course, I did exactly what she said, but it helped me. Believe it or not, even in America, while I was fully grown, raising my kids alone as a single parent, no matter what I went through during my life, I always used her words and never fought back if someone did hurt me. Yes, I would always speak when the injustice is done to others, but to myself, I never did. Because just like her, I believed in the fact that justice can be served by divine only. And her second most important quality was brotherhood and sisterhood. Every day, I remember she used to get up 8 o'clock in the morning. Of course, she would wake up much earlier, but she would go for groceries like 8 a.m. As in those days, you remember we didn't have the refrigerator, so she would just go for grocery daily. She brings those bags full of things and comes back by 10 o'clock. And then she would start cooking. At that time, I was in my second shift of the school, which started from late hours. So she would just go ahead and cook. And then once she's done cooking, she would ask me to go and distribute the food. So she would have me pull the tray. She would put the pots on the tray, small bowls and plates and so on and so forth. And she would fill that up with the food. So every day, literally, she would fill it up with 5 plates for my uncles and aunties who live close to us. And she would select 5 neighbors every day. So basically, 7 days, she would be distributing food to 35 neighbors. So she would always choose different neighbors. And then she would say, now go ahead and distribute the food to them. So when I go to distribute the food, which doesn't take me long as, we were just like buildings across from each other. So when I come back, I have empty pots with me, empty bowls and dishes. And it didn't bother her that, nobody gave the food back to her. She kept on saying that even though it's a tradition, which I was raised with, that once you give the food to someone, it has to come back filled. The pot cannot come back empty. But I realized that it never bothered her. She did exactly what she was meant to do. She would just simply distribute the food to everyone, and then she would just say, okay, now set up the lunch for us. We used to sit on the floor to eat. Of course, in those days, we didn't have a dining room or the dining tables. So when we sit on the floor, I remember she had a stove on the floor. And I would sit right next to the stove, and she would too. She would sit across, and I would sit on the side. Everyone else would just sit in a circle around us, and she would keep on pouring food for everyone. But I realized that at the end, after she starts distributing food to everyone, I realized the pot is getting empty and there is literally no food left. But she wouldn't tell anyone. She would just keep on feeding everyone. She keep on filling the tray with the rice and keep on giving bread to everyone. And so is the curry or whatever fried food she made. Except for me, no one knew that the pots were getting empty. Once we're done eating, she would just say, okay, everyone, now you can leave because I have to eat. I would sit with her because, like I said, she was the closest thing to divine I knew. She was not just my mother, she was literally a face of love on earth for me. So she would just eat the leftover food from everyone. Those were some of the qualities. And I remember if there was no food left, she would just take the bread and the tea. No one knew what she was going through except for me. But she never, ever say that, oh, I don't have the food left because I had to distribute to everyone. And no one told her even to do the distribution. In a nutshell, what I would like to say is that I'm not saying that all of us should, besides myself, should live like that. Like, oh, you just have to be so humble where someone slaps you, you don't say anything, and you just give them the other part of your face. I'm not saying that, and neither am I saying that you should start distributing food to 20 or 30 people. But what I'm suggesting here is that wouldn't the world be a better place if all of us, instead of just making lunch and dinner for ourselves, even if it's a microwave lunch or dinner, which we do, we always make lunch and dinner, unless we are so busy that we just simply eat out, which is not quite seldom, right? It's hardly the case. In that way, don't you think that we should all start distributing some food every day, even if we feed one neighbor or one family member or one even unknown person on the street? I mean, we always run into people, be it just a piece of bread or just a sandwich or something like that. Don't you think the world could be a better place by doing so? There would be no starvation on earth, would there? So all we have to do is just, out of all the goodness that we have been given from divine through his love and light, only if we start living by two, which is humility and brotherhood and sisterhood, I am quite certain that we can change the world. All we have to do is replace the words humility from ego and brotherhood and sisterhood from hatred. And we can all create our own paradise on this planet. With that, I let you do the thinking, and I would take your leave now by saying that world could be a wonderful place only if we knew how to live. No one can teach us how to live. That is within us. That is within our intuition. We all have this gift of basic instinct of survival. So why not live with peace and love? I would like to end this podcast with a question, which is, what is it that we will choose to live with? Ego or humility? Hatred or brotherhood and sisterhood? Please visit our website www.upa3.com/podcast to get the latest updates on our podcast. May her soul rest in peace. Amen. I wish you all a great journey. Goodbye.